When a talk show host tried to humiliate Carrie Underwood on live TV, she turned the tables with one line that stunned the world. The air in the studio was electric, that kind of energy that makes you lean forward in your seat, waiting for something unforgettable to happen. Carrie Underwood sat under the bright lights of Live Tonight with Joy Behar, a talk show notorious for its hard-hitting, controversial interviews. The show's host, Melanie, had built her career on putting guests in the hot seat, twisting their words, and creating viral gotcha moments. But this time, she had no idea what she was in for. From the moment Carrie walked onto the stage, there was a tension in the air. She was poised, wearing a sleek navy pantsuit that exuded quiet confidence. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her expression calm but alert. The audience cheered, but Joy's sharp, knowing smile hinted at something more calculated. She had a plan, and Carrie was about to step right into it. The interview started off friendly. Joy asked about Carrie's new album, upcoming tour, and life as a working mother. Carrie answered with her signature warmth, her voice steady and genuine. But then, the conversation took a turn. Joy leaned in slightly, her tone shifting from casual to probing. "Carrie, you've always been vocal about your personal beliefs. Some would say you've used your platform to push a certain worldview. Do you think that's responsible, knowing your words might divide your audience?" The energy in the room shifted. The audience murmured, sensing the brewing storm. It was a loaded question, wrapped in the appearance of journalistic curiosity but designed to corner her. Joy wasn't asking, she was accusing. Carrie held her gaze, unreadable. Then, with a measured breath, she replied, "I believe everyone has the right to their own opinion. As an artist, my job isn't to tell people what to believe. My job is to share my truth. If that inspires people, great. If not, that's okay too." A few members of the audience clapped softly. But Joy wasn't done. She leaned back, crossing her arms with a smirk. "Fair enough," she said, her voice laced with mock understanding. "But don't you think that, as a public figure, your truth could have unintended consequences? Maybe even alienate some of your fans?" A sharp question, designed to make Carrie second-guess herself. Carrie tilted her head slightly, not dismissive, but confident. "I think my fans know who I am," she said smoothly. "They've supported me for years because they appreciate my honesty. I trust them to make their own decisions, just as I've made mine." Joy's eyes narrowed. She was losing control of the conversation. This was her moment to strike. She adjusted her posture, lowering her voice just enough to feign concern. "But what about when your truth doesn't align with progress?" she asked, pausing for dramatic effect. "Don't you worry that holding on to certain beliefs makes you seem out of touch?" The audience gasped. A few exchanged glances. The tension was razor-sharp. Carrie's expression didn't change, but something in her posture did. A slight straightening of her spine. A shift in her energy. The cameras zoomed in. This was it. Carrie repeated the words carefully, as if tasting them. "Out of touch." She let the phrase hang in the air, the weight of it settling over the studio. Then, with a quiet but unshakable confidence, she delivered the line that would be replayed millions of times across the internet. "You know, Joy, holding on to values like kindness, integrity, and faith isn't about being outdated. It's about staying grounded." The audience erupted. Melanie blinked, momentarily thrown off balance. She had been expecting defensiveness, not poise. Carrie wasn't done. She leaned forward slightly, her calm demeanor now carrying a quiet intensity. "It's funny," she continued, her voice smooth but firm. "We talk so much about diversity, but not just in how we look. What about how we think? Isn't that worth respecting too?" For the first time all night, Joy hesitated. The power had shifted. The audience, once unsure of where this conversation was going, was now entirely on Carrie's side. Even Joy knew it. She forced a tight-lipped smile, trying to regain control. "Well, you certainly know how to make your point," she said, her voice carrying a hint of forced humor. Carrie smiled politely but didn't break eye contact. Unwavering. "I think it's important to stand firm when you believe in something." Applause thundered through the studio. Some audience members even stood. Backstage, producers were buzzing. Social media coordinators were already flagging the moment as viral material before the show even finished airing. Meanwhile, in the audience, a middle-aged man leaned over to his wife and whispered, "That was something else. She really stood her ground." His wife nodded, eyes still fixed on the stage. "That's what we need more of, people who don't back down when it matters." In the green room, Carrie's team exchanged knowing glances. One assistant turned to another. "This is going to explode online. Just wait." And they were right. By the time Carrie stepped off the stage, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook were flooded with clips of her words. Hashtags like #CarrieUnderwoodClapback and #GraceUnderFire were trending within minutes. Fans praised her composure, her grace, and most of all, her unapologetic authenticity. Even people who weren't fans before found new respect for her. But it wasn't just social media taking notice. By the next morning, major news outlets had picked up the story. Headlines: Carrie Underwood stands her ground in heated interview. Country star delivers viral clapback on live TV. Grace under fire, the moment that had everyone talking. But as the world dissected the interview, Carrie wasn't focused on the headlines. To her, the real impact wasn't in the likes or shares. It was in the messages. One, in particular, stood out. A direct message from a young woman named Anna, living in a small town in Montana. "I watched your interview last night. I've always struggled to speak up for myself, but seeing you stand your ground inspired me. Thank you for reminding me that it's okay to have a voice." Carrie smiled. This was why she did what she did. And as the world continued to react, she simply carried on, unshaken, unwavering, and absolutely true to herself. Carrie Underwood had walked off the Live Tonight stage with the same poise she carried throughout the interview, but the world was still buzzing. By the time she stepped into her car, her phone was flooded with notifications. Mentions skyrocketing. News headlines rolling in. Millions watching, rewatching, and sharing. Her assistant glanced up from her own phone, eyes wide. "Carrie, you're everywhere. That moment, it's viral." Carrie just smiled. She had felt it in the air. Back inside the studio, Melanie Hayes was having a very different reaction. Joy Behar, the host who lost control. In her dressing room, Joy sat fuming. The moment the cameras cut, she had stormed backstage, slamming her cue cards onto the vanity table. Her producer, Alan, hesitated before speaking. "That didn't go how we expected." Joy shot him a glare. "No kidding." She had spent days preparing for that interview. She had planned her takedown moment perfectly, expecting Carrie to stumble, to retreat, to get flustered. Instead, Carrie had flipped the script. Now, instead of trending as the host who had exposed Carrie Underwood, Melanie was trending as the host who got completely outclassed. Carrie Underwood just schooled Melanie Hayes, live. When your gotcha moment backfires spectacularly. Grace Under Pressure, a masterclass by Carrie Underwood. The internet had picked a side, and it wasn't hers. Social media explodes. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, the conversation was only growing. Fans flooded Carrie's comments with praise. Clips of her clapback were being remixed into TikToks, reaction videos, and GIFs. Celebrities chimed in, some applauding her, others subtly shading joy. Even high-profile journalists weighed in. Carrie Underwood didn't just respond, she took control of the conversation. That's power. And then there were the think pieces. What we can learn from Carrie Underwood's viral interview. The art of staying true to yourself, even when under attack. Carrie Underwood and the changing landscape of celebrity authenticity. Meanwhile, Joy Behar was in full damage control mode. Her PR team scrambled to spin the narrative. Carrie and Joy had a healthy debate. It was just a tough conversation, nothing more. But the public wasn't buying it. One clip in particular sealed Joy's fate. A side-by-side comparison of her smug expression before Carrie's answer and her stunned, blinking reaction afterward. Caption: "When you realize you picked the wrong fight." The video hit 15 million views in under 24 hours. Joy was becoming the meme. Carrie speaks out, with grace. While the world debated, Carrie remained above the noise. A reporter caught up with her in Nashville the next day, asking for her thoughts on the viral moment. Carrie simply smiled and said, I think the bigger conversation here is about respect. We don't have to agree on everything, but we should always treat each other with kindness. That one line reignited the conversation. People weren't just talking about the interview anymore. They were talking about how we communicate in a divided world. And Carrie, she wasn't just the country star who held her own in an interview. She was now a symbol of authenticity, grace, and quiet strength. The industry reacts. Behind the scenes, the entertainment industry was taking notes. Other talk show hosts softened their approach, fearing backlash. A-listers privately reached out to Carrie, congratulating her for standing firm. TV producers scrambled to book her for follow-up interviews, only this time they knew better than to underestimate her. Even Joy's peers took subtle shots at her. One late-night host joked, "You know you messed up when Twitter starts treating Carrie Underwood like a Supreme Court lawyer." Laughter. Applause. The tide had turned, and it wasn't in Joy's favor. Carrie turns the moment into a movement. Carrie could have milked the moment for publicity. She could have done exclusive interviews, posted victory lap tweets, or released a statement about the controversy. Instead, she made a different choice. A week later, she posted a simple message on Instagram. A candid shot of her on stage, mid-performance. "Thank you all for your kindness and support. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean tearing someone else down. It means showing the world who you are, and letting that speak for itself. Stay true to you." The comment section exploded. "This is why I love you, Carrie. A class act, through and through. Not just a great singer, an incredible role model." But she didn't stop there. In a quiet yet powerful move, Carrie donated a portion of her upcoming tour proceeds to organizations promoting civil discourse, youth empowerment, and respectful dialogue. The best response to negativity, turning it into something good. And just like that, she didn't just win an interview. She turned a moment into a movement. The final word. As for Joy Behar, her show continued, but it was never the same. Ratings dipped. Sponsors took notice. And every time she tried to pull the same gotcha tactics on another guest, viewers remembered. Because once the internet sees you lose control of a moment, they never forget. Meanwhile, Carrie Underwood continued doing what she had always done. Singing her truth. Living with grace. Inspiring millions, without ever having to tear anyone else down. And that, in the end, was the real victory. Final thought. Standing firm in your beliefs isn't just about winning an argument. It's about inspiring others to find their own voice, too. If this story moved you, subscribe for more inspiring stories that celebrate courage, authenticity, and the power of standing your ground. Tell us in the comments, when was a time you stood firm in your beliefs? What did you learn from it? And don't forget to share, because the world needs more stories like this.